Welcome back to another episode of Couch Talks with C. Well, today I hope y'all are very comfortable because I want to hit the nail on the head and just dive right in. This conversation might be uncomfortable for a lot of us, but I definitely feel like it is a key component to growing into the adults that we are becoming. So, for instance, has someone ever said something to you that really wasn't that deep, but it triggered something within you and you're kind of like, whoa, wait a minute? And that's your inner child speaking to you. It still has a voice and it's still sitting there trying to protect you. Okay. So in this sense, we're all adults, we're all growing, we're making boss moves, we're out here navigating this life, these 20 somethings, which are very highly don't recommend. But when you take that away, a lot of our decisions that are made are created from those childhood wounds that we have not dealt with or hit head on. Think about it. Are you currently, like today, reacting or avoiding something due to something that wasn't fulfilled in your childhood? Hold on to that question because today's topic is your childhood is still making your decisions. So today we're going to hit on dating, friendships, careers, self-worth, all of it. Let's dive into our caregivers. So whether you were raised by grandparents, mom or dad, auntie or uncle, whatever your family dynamics look like, those individuals were key components to our upbringing. So they were the blueprint, they were the very foundation of what we now consider our standards or the types that we might tend to go after, you look for in individuals that you connect with on a daily basis. All right. So let me go to my handy dandy notebook. And I told y'all gonna always see some pink. But anyways, let's see. All right. So oftentimes how we respond to conflict or things that are deeply rooted in our childhood experience, whether it was neglect, abandonment, being overly parented, or never being emotionally heard, it will show up daily. Do you ever find yourself wondering why you keep finding the same partner or finding the same kind of friends in different individuals, or finding yourself overworking yourself or trying to overprove yourself at a job? It's because you're still trying to fulfill those things that you did not hear or you did not get while growing up. All right. So I have just a few questions for you all. Number one, when it comes to your caregivers, were emotions safe to express? Did you get love only when you performed well? Were your needs an inconvenience? Let's see. All right. So if any of those questions were answered yes, this automatically will create an anxious attachment style because you will always perform or do things in a relationship trying to prove yourself or to show some type of self-worth because you're looking for praises. So you're wanting to hear those things. You're wanting to feel validated. But that can create an toxic relationship style simply because it's like if you're not hearing those praises, you're just going to keep going and going and going. And if you're not receiving, you're depleted, like you're literally draining yourself because that person cannot live up to the things that you lacked in your childhood. You have to realize those relationships in childhood are completely different than a relationship. So we oftentimes, when you hear people discuss, oh, girls have daddy issues or he has mommy issues, whatever the case may be, yes, that's because you might have lacked something in your being parented, but you cannot look for that in a partner, if that makes sense. Let's see. So if love equals inconsistency in childhood, you'll crave chaos and mistake it for passion. If love equals performance, being good, quiet, helpful, you may overextend and attract takers. Childhood rejection can make you settle just to avoid being alone. Friendships patterned in childhood roles. Were you a caretaker? If so, you typically find yourself always being the I can fix it friend, or you're always saving that same friend from whatever the case may be. And it's because you go into this superhero role where many of us, when we were children, we were put in these predicaments where not everyone, and I don't want to say where you were like raising your parents, but where you had to mature early on. So you always feel like you know how people will say like, oh, she's the mom of the group. Yeah, it might come off as jokingly, but why does she operate like that? Like, why does she come across as head honcho of the friend group, or the one that can gather everyone together? Is because typically that's what she had to do in the chat as a child, and it follows you well on into adulthood. So I did write something down that said your inner child picture of friends. Sometimes the things that we crave in our friendships, whenever it follows us into adulthood, we'll find ourselves looking for those things that we're missing in those friends, so in the physical sense. And it doesn't always work out in your best favor, because what you needed as a child, you often don't need as an adult. You're a completely different person. You just, like, you have to think of yourself as like a tree. Like, we're a tree, so we're something that has grown over time and we've been nurtured, like I spoke on in the very first video or last video. You have to nurture yourself, and it was others who poured into that nurturing. Whether the nurturing was the best, you'll call that. But if you're a tree, it trees represent resilience. It's something that can weather many, many storms, and it still chooses to stand. So if I'm being nurtured and nurtured and nurtured over time, once I become an adult, those things that started from the roots are still a part of who I am. So those things that I still may be craving no longer add on to the value or the growth of who I'm now becoming. So if I was craving validation as a child, I might look for that in my friendships. But why am I still craving validation? Is because it was never fulfilled to begin with. And that will create toxic connections, or connections that just don't make sense. You'll find a lot of times you'll find yourself rooted with people who don't represent who you are. They don't mirror the lifestyle that you're aiming to chase after, or whatever the case may be. And it's because you're still leaning on those old values and those old morals, and it just doesn't coincide. Let's see. All right. So another idea that I did want to hit on, whether you went off to college after high school, whether you're still in high school, whether you're in college now, whether you just went off to trade school, whether you just started a career or you just started working, whatever path you went down after grade school says a lot. A lot of people, our careers, the choices that we choose to make that, provide a stable lifestyle for us is typically validation. Is either you'll see many people like, oh yeah, I wanted to take up dance, but my parents wanted me to become a doctor. You're doing something because someone else's approval means more than your happiness. So you find many people in the workforce today where passion is heavily lacked. There are so many people operating in these big name positions that don't even enjoy it. And it's because it was started out of someone else's decision over their life. Why would I allow you as my parent, or you as my friend, or you as my sibling, whoever the case may be, why would I allow you to create a life choice for me, something that I'll be showing up and doing every day? Does that make sense? No, it doesn't. And yes, you do have some parents who are overbearing, or you have family members who are overly opinionated. But at the end of the day, you have to become your own person. I always say when you go to work or when you show up, you need to be happy at all times. Majority of us spend our entire day or majority of the day on the clock. Just like I discussed, like when you're trying to chase your own dream, it's often hard because you're helping someone else's dream, grow. Whenever you're clocking in at another facility, that was once someone's dream. That was once something that was wrote down on paper. And you're going and you're helping that grow. And then whenever you get off, you don't have anything to give yourself. So if I am showing up to a job, it needs to be something that I want to do. And yes, it's hard in today's economy to find a job that might just overly, like, make you overly joyed or, where you're just happy to be up in the morning getting ready. I just feel like that's just America's workforce. I think we're just burnt out. But why increase my burnout because I'm doing something that I don't want to do? Okay. So my question is, have you chose your career because you've loved it, or does it feel safe and pleasing to whoever your blueprint is? All right. So let's go back. Were you ever the black sheep or an invisible child? You might choose friends who mirror those dynamics, people who don't see you fully. So I just want us, a lot of people, don't agree with, I'll say, therapy. Even though this day and age, therapy is like, you're seeing a lot of people going to therapy, or you're seeing people do more things that are therapeutic. Let me not say that word. You see more people doing things that lean more towards connecting to like their soul or like their inner child and working out those traumas that we have built up. And I'm very happy that we're like starting to create this movement where we're doing that, because although, like they be saying, I talked to the lady. What lady? But like, if you're not pulled to go and sit and speak with a therapist, cool. That's not for everybody. I always say some people, you feel more comfortable going and talking to someone who does not know you. Like, I would rather go and sit and tell my life story to someone who knows not one fact about me, because in that sense, you're writing your own story. Yeah, they may pick up on things along the way that you're telling them and be able to, point out habits or whatever the case may be, but you don't know me. So I can literally start from the very beginning and bring you up to date on now where I am. And then we can go back and analyze it all. And I feel like that, in a sense, that's rewarding within itself, because sometimes it feels good to just sit down and hear what you've gone through. And it's kind of empowering in a sense, because I'm reminding myself that, okay, like, I'm actually showing up despite what I've gone through. I'm showing up despite those things that I have not healed from, that I didn't even create. And, we literally carry the traumas or those generational curses that we did not ask for. And sometimes, you're confused on, why am I so angry? Or why does my load seem so heavy? And it's because you're navigating a life that came from so much turmoil, so much chaos, so much confusion. And that alone is why we have to do the inner work. Like, you have to do it to become your best self, or you're going to keep on craving the things that no longer serve you. And that's really the message that I'm trying to get across, because, I've found myself, everyone talks about the dynamics of how you fall with your siblings, whether you're the only child or the middle child syndrome or the oldest child. We're seen as aggressive, or, we go into like these leadership roles or whatever the case may be. And it's kind of like, it's just a given, I would say. But I would just say, me being the oldest, like I discussed in the last video, I can be very stubborn. And that's because, no, I did not have anyone above me. So I didn't have anyone to like turn to or to make life easier or to go and vent to. I didn't have that dynamic in the household. I was the oldest. So, being the oldest sibling, that reflects heavily in all my relationships, my friendships. Literally any interaction that I have, I typically show up the same. I'm very straightforward. I'm very serious. Although I can, I laugh, I joke, I do this. I am so serious about everything that I do. And that might be one of the things that kind of stresses me out about myself sometimes, because it'd be like, just chill, just breathe. But that's all about me doing the inner work, like learning that like it's okay. Like it's okay that maybe I didn't have something to lean on, but I have to make a soft I have to make a soft space for myself, because you don't want to come off aggressive or overbearing because of something that felt okay then. And I'll just say, let's see, hold on. 1 second. Looking over my notes. Never feeling good enough. You know how at work you might show up and you're just overdoing it. Like, you're okay, yeah, I can get this done for you. Oh, I'll take on that role. Oh, I don't mind training here. I don't mind doing that. And it's like, why are you doing all these things? Like, some people, they can balance multiple things and be great at all of them. But for the average person, you're not going to be able to juggle everything and be hitting an A in all of it. So it's like, whenever you find yourself overworking yourself, it's like, what validation are you seeking? You have to find validation in yourself. A lot of you all are trying to prove a point to people who they've already chose their idea of you. What they feel is what they feel, and you cannot change it. Some of us have stubborn family members. Some of us have stubborn friends. Some of us, our village just, it just isn't doing what it needs to do for you. So stop seeking validation from those who have not even been validated to make you feel like you're worthy enough. Like, you have to remind self, like, I'm good enough. So although I may not have received this as a child, it's okay, because I am now this. Although I may not have received this, I want to give that love to, my children. I want to create my own family where it's not lacking of those things that I did not have. And even in that sense, sometimes we're working so hard to go against what we did not have and try to create that elsewhere, that sometimes we ruin it before it's even started, because you're just so like, I don't know, it's like a fire within you and you just feel like, I have to do this. I have to do this. Let it all play out in the way it's going to do so. If you lead with a genuine heart, and if you just center yourself around good things and just believe in things working out just how they need to, old wounds will eventually heal, but you have to do the inner work. You can't do the inner work and expect the outside to just be what it's going to be. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. And we have to learn how to not allow our hurt to seep on others, because often whatever you're feeling inside, it's going to come out verbally. Like, it's hard to act as if you're well put together and the inside of you is just full of turmoil. I can't sit here and say, oh, like, this is my mission and this is how I lead, and then I'm over here and I'm being catty or I'm speaking down on others because of something that might be internal, something that I'm holding, something that I'm dealing with. You cannot allow those things to seep onto others. Okay? So again, reparenting isn't a trend, it's a tool. So normalize therapy if that's your thing. Journaling, like I've said many times, that's what I do. I love to write. I love to write. Shadow work and boundaries as a way to reparent yourself. So although this may have been what it was for you, create your own way. Go back and reteach yourself what is okay or what may have made things easier for you or better. You cannot change your past, but we can stop it. You cannot change your past, but you can stop letting it lead your future. So that's why, like, those things in childhood, you cannot allow them to get in the way of who you're becoming in this life that you're navigating through. And although you're healing, you cannot blame your caregivers. Like I said, this is our first time living. So yes, although you may not have agreed with certain parenting styles, whatever the case may be, it was their first time too. And in order to heal, you do have to forgive. Does not mean you forget, but you do have to forgive to be able to let go of that and to allow that wound to close up. Like, forgiving doesn't always mean rekindling. It does not mean that, hey, we got to be cool and I got to talk to you 24/7, because I still don't necessarily agree with who you are. And it is okay not to like someone in a certain role. So, hey, you might not have been the best parent. You might not have been the best aunt. You might not have been the best adoptive parent, whatever the case may be. But I am going to forgive you so that I can heal. I am going to forgive you so that I can retain whatever blessings are attached to what I'm touching, because you're not going to receive while holding on to things. You have to release that. And a quote that I want you all to remember: your past may have shaped you, but it does not get to define you unless you let it. So anything that's holding you back is because you're allowing it to. Anything that you have full control over, that's what you need to lean on and allow that to navigate your healing journey. So if this episode hits home, I want you to share it with someone and speak about those generational curses. Speak about the things that you've gone through or the things that, you felt like have held you back. A lot of us are still soul seeking. We're still figuring out who we are. And although our foundation cannot change, our roots cannot change, you can still make something beautiful out of something that started in complete chaos. You know how I was describing in an earlier episode that how I struggle with, like, plant parents. When you're trying to grow a plant, you're going to hit a couple lows. Like, you might not be putting the right water, or it might not be getting direct sun like it needs to. That does not mean that the plant cannot continue to grow. Once that plant reaches a space of blooming those flowers or whatever the case may be, you often forget what it had to go through to get there. So we have to be appreciative of our roots, of where we came from, and the things that did create us, because that's what makes us unique. And I do want, like, these episodes to kind of make sense and kind of like lean on each other. So, like, with that, like I said, you have to pour into self. So stop paying attention to what I did not get and what can I do now? What can I do now to replenish those things? What can I do now to allow myself the ability to grow? Because if not, you're going to be stuck in childhood. And that's the worst place to be. Stuck somewhere that doesn't even exist anymore. You cannot change that. You cannot change those individuals. You can only make the best of what you have now, and that is self. So don't lose self in the past. The past is what it is. Let it be that. Learn to forgive, learn to let go, learn to heal, learn to move forward. My mom always says, Cece, like, you're not going to get what you need to get if you don't forgive them. Like, if you don't forgive them. And, that's something that I am very thankful for, because it doesn't matter what it is that's bothering you. That person that's getting on your nerves at work, or someone who is just like, what I'm telling them just isn't getting through to them. Forgive them for the inability to understand or retain whatever whatever message you're trying to convey, and move forward, So let this be a season of diving into what created you, and the things that are a part of your foundation. Learn to be appreciative of those things, and then let's lean on navigating and growing and moving forward and creating the life that we want now. So with that, I'm going to leave you all with one thing. All right, so we're going to end this. I hope it makes sense. If not, I apologize. But we're going to end this like this. Allow yourself the ability to grow. And again, give yourself grace and continue to just bloom into your best self. Like, y'all, we're not done growing. Like, you're still only at like 50% of who you're going to be. So I'll catch y'all next episode on Couch Talks with C, and thank y'all for tuning in. Later.